Okay, this video is internet conversation number 24. All right, so my internist friend recently had a conversation with a university doctor, and he says to me, hey, what do you think of the new barostim device? I said, I never heard of it. Barostim device is implanted in the chest as a pocket, like a pacemaker pocket, infraclavicular. It's tunneled up to the neck, to the carotid artery bifurcation. It attaches to the baroreceptors and gives an electronic impulse to stimulate them to cause blood pressure to be decreased. And they think it also will have a protective effect for congestive heart failure. Okay, here's a closer look at one of these type of devices, barostimulator device, and its contact point, the baroreceptors on the internal carotid artery in the neck, okay? And I'm like, gee, another bells and whistles, fancy technology. I'm sure they don't tell these poor patients, gee, you might want to become a low-fat vegan. I'm sure they don't tell them that, Walter Kempner was curing congestive heart failure back in the 1940s with a low-fat vegan diet. That there's a bunch of case reports from Osfeld, Dr. Osfeld, the Montefiore cardiologist, Baxter Montgomery from Montgomery Wellness cardiologist, curing congestive heart failure with a plant-based diet. Why implant this metal stuff that's going to potentially make you hypotensive? Who knows what other side effects? Be really expensive. When you could cure the disease for free just eating the diet, And McDougall and Pritikin, they saw great results like that. So bottom line is, never cure, was it that guy? Never cure, try treating a disease with a fancy electronic thing or a pill if you can just cure it with the diet. Internist. Okay, now I know you want me to go on that Q&A show with you, but I don't think I'm the guy for that. I have a friend who's a medical genius who would be better for the show. Me. I know your friend, and he's a real smart guy, and he's a nice guy, but he's fat, okay? Fat people don't have much credibility in vegan world, okay? There's third world illiterates, all over the place, barbarians, all right, in all these third world countries eating a plant-based diet, and they don't have any problems with obesity or all these other chronic Western diseases. They know more about how to treat these diseases than all your Ivy League internists put together. So the internist is kind of laughing because he knows it's true. All you got to do is, eat like a third world savage plant-based eater, and you'll cure all these diseases. And all these Ivy League bullshit artists with their pills can't cure anything. Internist. I know, internal medicine has become such a joke. I think pharmacists are taking over. Me. What do you mean? He says at the university, when we make rounds, a pharmacist comes along with us. And it used to be that the residents, they tag along too. They would just be asking the pharmacist questions about like drug interactions or something like that. But now the residents go to the pharmacist first before they talk to the attending physicians for all kinds of questions about how to treat all the different diseases, because all they care about is drug protocols. It's called GDMT, goal-directed medical therapy. That's all they care about. They document that in the chart. You're following the standard of care. You get paid. You fulfill the billing requirements. You can't be sued. That's the way medicine's going. And I'm laughing, who needs a doctor if you're just going to run things with a cookbook? They've been replacing internists and family practice doctors for a long time with nurse practitioners, and now it looks like they're going to replace them with pharmacists. Okay, I think that's kind of funny. You don't need to know anything about clinical medicine. Just follow the protocols, prescribe the drug. You can have an RN do it with artificial intelligence. It's all bullshit, Okay, so the internist says, well, how's your books and your YouTube channel going? I said, I've written a whole series of books, a whole prevention, reverse disease series of books about obesity, hypertension, diabetes, stroke, myocardial infarction, heart attack, AFib, and congestive heart failure. Out of 5 books that I've written, they only have an average of about 2 reviews. I said, Christians are so lazy. They wonder why they're being genocided. They don't fucking get it. They're being destroyed. They're being killed. And, somebody from another ethnic group writes a book. They get all these reviews from co-ethnics right away. I don't get anything. Okay, none, 0. Okay, a few people eventually hear about my book and they write a review. But, there's 2.3 billion Christians because they don't help each other. They're all jealous of each other or stupid and half retarded. They don't help each other. And so they just get weaker and weaker and weaker and genocided, There's nothing I could do. I'm shadow banned, where my books are sold. I'm shadow banned on YouTube. I'll make the best video in the world on something. I'll get 200 views, then some other, fucking retard, paleo, keto, carnivore, Mediterranean diet bullshitter will, lie with some nonsense and they'll get 500,000, 1 million views. So, I guess it's better to be shadow banned than to be killed by big medicine or big food. Internist. Look, your books and videos, McDougall's books and videos, and the Kempner Pritikin books and McDougall's website, that's the best health information on the whole internet. I got copies of all that stuff. You're doing God's work. And that's the only thing that matters, is that God knows you're trying to help the patients. I said, well, you know what? Unless God shows me how to reach a larger audience, I can't help that many people. Internist. Well, at least you're keeping the truth alive. You know, someday when you die, I'll give you a good eulogy at your funeral, and some younger doctor will come along, find your books and videos, and then they'll keep the truth alive.